Now then, I'm glad I made that theory when I did, as we got some massive reveals in what was a first decent opening match of the Parallactic Clash. Hello everyone and welcome to Dueling with Downton, and today we're talking episode 2 of the Cardfight Vanguard Divinez Parallactic Clash arc, Suo versus Akina. Now, I loved how we start off this episode with the reveal that the Phantom Fighters know that they are in a reality that is not the real deal. But in this reality, things are a lot better for them. And yet, they're being haunted by the memories of the real world experiences. This is shown by Suo having nightmares of the fact that he lost his parents in the real world. Yet in this reality, he's living comfortably and happy with them. All of this helps to showcase Suo's desperation in wanting to hold on to this reality and fight to protect it. He knows it's fake and it's not real, but to him, it's better than the reality he sees in his nightmares. So again, Suo's life in this alternative reality is a lot better. He's got his parents. He isn't scarred by the loss of losing them and the pain that brought him in the real world. And he's even trying to reason with Akina, trying to persuade Akina to, let them all live in this world. But the topic of memories does get brought up a lot in this episode, and I love how this does two things. Both characters have memories of their time and experiences in the real world, and they drive each character to perform a certain action. For Suo, it drives him to protect this fake world. But for Akina, it drives him to reclaim the world that he is trying to get back to. The one that he's had all these memories and all these experiences with all of these wonderful and amazing people that are now looking at him through different lenses. Looking at the emotional aspect of this episode, we saw a lot of raw emotion from Suo. I loved how the first Phantom skill just looked cool, because it's the first time we've seen it, but then on the second time round, it showcases a slight flash of desperation from Suo, which we do see throughout the later stages of this match. Suo's mentality gets more and more desperate as he's backed more and more into a corner. Now, on the topic of Phantom skills, these are new skills that can be used multiple times per battle. Now, this is accessed through the use of using Crimson Moons, and the more moons that you have, the more powerful your Phantom skill becomes. So our first look at a Phantom unit was Phantom Black Demaya, a Kantar Sanctuary version of Black Demaya that we know. And the skills are pretty decent. The first skill, when you attack, call a ally from the bind zone. The second ability, you can give your front row plus 500 power. And then, when you have 4 or more Crimson Moons in your bind zone, you can heal 1 damage and get an extra critical. While also, the plus 5,000 to your front row becomes plus 10,000. Now, that's quite strong and quite a unique skill, and I do like how these Phantom skills can be used multiple times, making them a little bit more versatile and different from the Divine skills that our Mythic users are going to be using. Well, actually, I don't know if Kanami is going to be using a Divine skill. It would be weird if she does. Oh, and obviously, Kagetsu doesn't have a Divine skill. So we'll see what that happens. We'll see if they have like a Mythic skill or something that even Akina and the others can use afterwards. Now then, one key phrasing from the skills when being read out by Suo is the fact that he phrases it in the way that says allies from the bind zone. This gives a more friendly and light-heartedness to the skill, something that the normal Suo wouldn't normally say. And I do love how the first half of these two cards' effects, the Phantom Black Demaya and the Fated One of Zero, they almost have a completely flipped personality in terms of the way they interact and are portrayed. So if you look at the Fated One of Zero, that card's effects reads the following. When this unit attacks a Vanguard, cost, bind 2 or more up to 4 cards from yourself face down, and you may draw a card. If you bound 4 cards or more, your opponent chooses 2 of their rearguards to bind them, face down, and this unit gets plus 5,000 to the end of the battle, for every face down card in your bind zone. Now the key difference here is that you're taking your opponent's units away, as to giving yourself more units. The 5,000 extra power is going to your Vanguard for the normal Black Demaya, not to the whole front row. So what I'm suggesting is that the Phantom Black Demaya is more giving. Just like how the Phantom world that we find ourselves currently in is more giving to these characters. While the Fated 1 of 0 is more destruction. It takes away, showcasing the real life Suo's loss and pain. Now this sort of storytelling through the cards and the effects is really cool. I love the fact how we've got a side of darkness and a side of light. And each one does the opposite, but at the same time complements the characters wonderfully. Now, another really fun piece of information that we learned in this episode was after a Phantom Fighter loses, they fall into a sleep-like state because their body can't handle being in this Phantom world. They can only be awoken once the world is restored. So this is Good Night Suo. A little bit sad that we're not going to have more interactions with Suo in this arc, but maybe we can see him later on as the world kind of shifts back to normal, but things are still a little bit shaky. Now this ultimately gives our heroes more reason to fight and restore the world that they came from, but this is where things get a little bit more interesting. We learned at the end of this episode that Kurumi is really dead in the real world. So restoring the world back to normal means killing her. Now you really do have to feel sorry for both Kanami and Kagetsu. They are family to Kurumi, yet they've already said goodbye to her once, and now they have to say goodbye to her again after seeing her and hearing her voice once more. But then Akina not really knowing what happened to Kanami in the real world is kind of strange, as they spent a lot of time together in the hospital with Hikari. So like, I get being busy, but come on dude, that's meant to be your friend. How do you not know that she passed away? How did nobody in that family tell Akina? We know that Kanami was also friends with Akina, so why didn't she reach out? But this does beg the question. Now of course we know that somehow they will keep her alive, either with the card at the end of the tower that can reshape the reality of the world, or maybe Phantom Garbelius will keep her alive by being inside of Kurumi, just like how we have with normal Garbelius and Erika. But then, without this magical Mobo Jumbo, who does Akina choose to save? Suo or Kurumi? Losing the will to fight because of some chick when you already have now, by staying here in this real world and choosing Kurumi. But then, if he does that, then Suo will never wake up. Suo will permanently be in a deep sleep, and that means you're essentially killing Suo. So, who do you choose? A friend that you are so close to in the real world that you had no idea that she passed away? Or the friend you've actually made and saved countless times and you want to get back? Now then, with the fact that people in the new world will begin to forget our heroes, allows us to play a little bit of detective, as we do have some more Phantom Fighters to look out for. So will we get some very new subtle expressions or lines of dialogue that could give these fighters away? Now I know they've already revealed a sort of Phantom, Masanori and Megami, but these could be one-off characters that just have a normal matchup and aren't actually Phantom Fighters, so there's no real stakes on the line here. So I am going to be looking out to see if we do have any sort of slight lines of dialogue or expressions that might give characters away and be like, oh, I know who Akina is. I shouldn't, but I do. And that will tell us as the audience, wait, they're a Phantom Fighter. So with the stakes now rising and the truth being revealed, what awaits us moving forward? I'm really looking forward to see what happens to the mythic users when they lose. Will they fall into a sleep-like state, never to be woken up again unless the world is restored? And I do love how this clash on both sides feels almost nostalgic in the way that they open up their matches, because it very much reflects the way that the other clashes have opened up, with the Divine's Clash, the Fated Clash even, and the Destined Clash. You know, holding up the cards, expressing your name and desire, and then the whole animation of it all colliding. What do you think of this episode though, and the topics raised? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope you've enjoyed this review. If you have, hit like, comment and subscribe, all of that good stuff, and check out my other videos that I've done on the Cardfight Vanguard seasons. As well as maybe the Yakuza. We know that's coming. With that being said though, have a great day, alligator, matane, goodbye.